One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
right. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful planet of ours. This is Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. I am your host, Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector. Monday morning show, every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. or if you're over in the UK, it might be, 7 o'clock your time, or Central Europe will be 8 o'clock your time. So this is a global show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Like I said, my name is Marc. Last name is Lainhart. People know me as the Intuitive Prospector because I'm all about daring to dream, daring to explore, dare to live. Today we're going to be talking about pathways to healing, and happy summer to you. I hope that you are celebrating the best that you can with these given times that we find ourselves in, but that you're going to enjoy the summer months ahead. And just want to say thank you. I come on here every Monday morning just to inspire, to encourage, to motivate for mindfulness, meditations, metaphysics, mediumship. And then right after this show at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time will be the Healing Cafe. And then at 11:30 a.m. we're going to be doing the Level Up series with my colleague and friend in Norway, Remitrus Davis Wright. It's free. I'll be putting the links in the field here in the comment section. So if you'd be so kind, if you want to share out the page, subscribe to the page, please do so. I do monitor and track who is sharing out, and all my top fans are put into a hat at the end of the month. A name is drawn out, and I do a free 30-minute reading with you. So let me just get to the Facebook page here so I can say, it looks like you got a couple people on this morning. Good morning, everybody. Happy summer to you. A lot going on in the world. You know, there's we just had a full Ring of Fire solar eclipse yesterday. It's Mercury's gone retrograde. First time that has coexisted since the 1980s, early 1980s. We won't be back in this format until somebody said it. I think Farmer's Almanac said 2039 will be the next time that we have this multiple event. And we've got a lot of planetary alignments going on. So we're in the year of the 4 from a numerology standpoint, which we would call the master builder year. So a lot going on in the world as we tear down old structures and old ways of being and old thought so we can build up new things. And I've been talking about that for months now. Just, you know, what I saw coming in this world of ours. I didn't know it would be this intense and this a little bit times concerning to me. But at the same time, in order to have great change and transformations, it's usually preceded by great chaos and difference of opinions and ideologies. And so here we are, right? So let's move into the magic of the moment. Take a nice deep breath with me. Grab your cup of coffee or your tea. Whatever floats your boat. I'm actually getting pretty good at making my vanilla lattes, so it's got a little bit of honey in there, some hemp seed milk in there, and of course I have an espresso, so it makes up a nice, beautiful latte. So let's talk about some healing modalities. Let's talk about, I just sent this out in my newsletter, so if you haven't gotten on my newsletter yet, please make sure to subscribe. You just go to marclainhart.com or an internet search the Intuitive Prospector, and I'll go ahead and put my YouTube link. I'm almost at 300. I'm almost at 300 subscribers. I know that doesn't sound a lot, but for me, I'm always humbled and honored when somebody follows my work or listens to, you know, the information or the motivations that I have to share with the planet. And so I'm one person away from 300. So be that 300th person today that subscribes to my Soul Adventures library that has all sorts of different shows. Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, almost 2 seasons worth, 5 seasons of Inspired Living Radio, where we have amazing guests and cover pretty interesting topics. We got a great guest coming up this Wednesday, and then 2 weeks from now another guest. So I'm already scheduled out to August. But you can also check out interviews I've done talking about mediumship, after-death communications, the Arthur Findlay College, spiritualism. What is spiritualism as a spiritual National Union member? What's the difference between religion and spirituality? There's hikes on there. I've done a lot of spiritual hikes, spiritual dives, so you kind of just exploring the world. So make sure to get on my YouTube video. I'd love to have you join me on this spiritual journey for your own spiritual goal. So let me talk about just what I was talking about in my newsletter, and just some pathways to healing. Let me see if I can open it here. So again, it's my Soul Adventures. It's a newsletter I send out. I try to do it every month. This hopefully is going to be coming out on Om Times, a featured article. That's my hope. We'll see. But I'll try to put the link to the actual newsletter itself if I can get it to open here. But let me just talk about some pathways to healing, something that I've been exploring this last year in my journey and what I've gone through. And right now, as we go through some very hard times in life, whether it's financial, whether you've lost somebody to COVID-19 or this pandemic that we find ourselves in. And, just so you guys know, the only thing that refutes science is better science. Depending on your feelings or your opinion or what politician you watch or what half-baked YouTube video you've watched, that doesn't change science. COVID is real. It's a global pandemic. Some people don't believe that it's a real pandemic. I follow a lot of the science and the data and what I do at the federal level and at the local level with my hospital here in Seattle, Washington, Harborview Medical. We're preparing for a steady case throughout the summer, including, some people are calling it the second wave, but I don't even know if it's the second wave because I don't know if the first wave has actually ended, to be honest with you, when I continue to watch the numbers go up. So just please be safe, be informed, be healthy, be mindful of what you take in as fact, especially off social media, this platform here. Because there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of fake news out there. I've had people calling me and texting me and messaging me on Facebook asking if we're okay here in Seattle because of what's going on in the Chaz and the Chop over in Capitol Hill, which is a 4 square block area that's always known for protests and people voicing their opinion for the last 50 years. But the media has portrayed it as some sort of terrorist Antifa BS story. In fact, one of the news agencies had to actually pull down their news feed because they were actually superimposing pictures into the live feed. So that's why I'm not a big fan of cable news. Just remember, television is to tell a vision. And when you get into cable news, guys, especially news media outlets, there are no FCC regulations. So they can tell whatever story they want. And, we got caught putting pictures and superimposing pictures. Oh, we'll pull that down. Our bad. Sorry. There's no ramifications and there's no oversight to cable news. So just keep that in mind when you're watching this television story. Because I can tell people were watching the same news channel. I don't get into politics here on my show. I don't actually get into politics at all. I don't care about politics anymore. I'm a constitutionalist. But I had literally 5 people in a span of 2 hours text me and ask me if I was okay. And so I knew that they were watching a news source that was promoting propaganda and fake news. So be mindful of what you're watching out there. Remember, cable news has no FCC regulations or oversight. I stick to my local news, my local news channels to get updated with my news because they do have FCC regulations and oversight that they have to abide by for journalism. And remember, guys, without free press and journalism, the fourth estate, there is no democracy. So remember, you got to have that hand in hand and be able to trust what you're watching as well. So I'm fine here in Seattle. I have not been taken over by terrorists. We have not been taken over by Antifa or KKK or anything like that. It's people that are protesting. There's always going to be violence, but I hate the way that the media portrays it. So happy summer to you. Let's get into the positive things of life. Like I said, if you're being impacted by everything, I'm going to be talking about healing today. I'm also going to be talking about healing on my Level Up series, so I hope that you'll join us for that. I'll see if I can get that link for you in the comment section here. Happy Father's Day to all of you fathers out there. I hope you had a fantastic day of doing absolutely nothing and barbecuing or getting a new tie or just celebrating time with your family. So let me see here. So I'm going to put the Eventbrite's tickets. This is called the Level Up Series. This is our 3rd session. It's free. I'll put it in the comment section here down below. So let's see here. If it'll allow me to. Maybe it won't. Let's see. It's called Level Up. It's with my friend and colleague in Norway. And we're doing this 4-part series. Just bringing inspiration and positivity into the world, especially during these difficult times and these unprecedented times in our history. So stay safe, stay healthy, stay properly informed in what you're doing and who you're following and what you're believing, because we've got just a lot of division out there, a lot of lack of civility. And always remember, in a time of chaos, you can still find a place to be kind, caring, and compassionate with what you do and how you treat others. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what your job title is. I really watch people and observe people and how they treat others. And right now I've seen just a lot of nastiness out there, and we want to change that. So thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to my words and my wisdom and my experiences. Unfortunately, I have a lot of experiences, but let's talk about pathways to healing and what that looks like. So, on our journey to be open and curious about the human experience, we can also follow a daily path of healing, so we can get to those better days of life with peace, joy, happiness. Self-forgiveness, I found in my own journey, is vital, and it's essential energy to the physical body, but also the mental body, the emotional body, and the spiritual body, which is your auric field, your etheric body, whatever your belief system is, the soul, the spirit, however you want to define that. But it allows self-healing to take root when you start to acknowledge your own pathways to healing and obtain that inner peace within, so that you can have peace with our external world. So I always talk about cognizant intuition, and it's where we can really start to ask ourselves, something is off, not working, or needs a change. It's usually the voice within where we say, okay, just something is off. Whether it's something is off with your family, your relationship, your career, what's going on with the world. We're seeing some of the biggest transformations in history right now with everything that we're going through. And just an FYI, guys, we're part of the biggest civil rights movement in the history of the world now. I've been saying this for a while. I called it the Great Coming Together with my psychic predictions at the beginning of the year in January. And this is the Great Coming Together. To stand up for injustices, to call out when you see something, whether it's police brutality, and we have a lot of and it's a hard debate. Again, there's a big difference between debating somebody and arguing with somebody. So I hope that you learn the difference between those two, because there's a lot of good cops out there, you guys. There's a lot of people, a lot of good officers that show up every day to protect us, to keep us safe. So don't get caught up on the picking sides. We're just calling injustices as we see them. And unfortunately, there's been a string of that have gone history past. But also respect and honor and follow the commands of our police officers, because most of them are good. And, I have some friends. I served in law enforcement. And it just takes a few bad apples, regardless of if you're white or black or brown or yellow. It just takes a few bad apples to make it bad for everybody. I've learned this as a psychic, as a medium, and some people that do fraudulent work I've seen over the years. It brings a lot of cynicism, a lot of skepticism, a lot of judgment and opinion on what I do. But at the same time, there's a lot of good that takes place every single day that you guys don't see. As a retired first responder, there are first responders, police, EMTs, firefighters, paramedics that are out there day and night serving your local community. And a lot of them are really good people. So remember that. But as we move through this trying time, it's calling out injustices and seeing it for what it is. Here's a few people that have stood up over the history past that you may know and resonate, that stood up to injustices and called for change. Gandhi, Muhammad, Buddha, Jesus, Moses, Dr. King, Abraham Lincoln. These are all people that have stood up throughout history to call out injustices as they see it. They weren't bad people; they were just the messenger. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. But a lot of us can sit back and what we see before our eyes and what we hear with our own ears. I hope that you're not morally compromised. I've had to clean up my friends list, unfortunately, over the last month, of people that I just don't want to connect with, because I feel, no opinion or judgment on them, just when you follow something or when you support something like racism, or you support people that promote racism or dividing people or doesn't follow the golden rule, I don't want to be connected with people like that any longer in my journey. And part of the path of a spiritualist is to follow the golden rule. Do unto others as you would do unto yourself. And from what I've seen just a lot as an observer. People show, and when people show you who they are, believe them, as Maya Angelou talked about all the time. And I've just had to really disconnect from, people that I feel that have been morally compromised, and again, will be on the wrong side of history when this is all done. And I always remind people, just because we're not friends doesn't mean you're my enemy. It's just you no longer get a seat at my table or my soul adventure, and I'm being very mindful of who I connect with energetically, mindfully, and like-mindedness. So ask yourself, cognitive intuition. Something is off, not working, and needs to change. Then we can move into pathways of healing to self-mastery. This is the responsibility and ownership to be able to say to ourselves, I need to change, I want to change. It's the old saying that goes, if you want to go out and change the world, you change the world by changing yourself, and you start with yourself. And boy, I didn't know, and I started going down the spiritual path over a decade ago, over 20 years ago, but professionally a decade ago, that I would really have to go into my own self-work. And it was really the finger pointing out here, it's everybody else's fault, I'm not going to change, you all need to change. But then I realized it is the three fingers pointing back at myself, where I had to transform. I had to go through that inner alchemy process. I had to do my own self-work and observe and look at myself to be the change that I want to be in this world. And that's a part of what I call self-mastery. Another pathway to forgiveness is true forgiveness. That's the ability to know ourselves at a deeper level and say, thank you for the experiences with grace and patience, while saying, I forgive myself. That's a pathway to healing. That's something that you guys should all work on. know thyself. If you know that saying, great. If you don't, research it. It's to know thyself, and part of that is true self-forgiveness. Sustainability, that's one of the words that I talked about at the beginning of this year. I gave, in my predictions, I kept coming up with 3 words: the great coming together, sustainability, and self-mastery. And I now put this into my article for my newsletter and for Om Times Magazine called Pathways to Healing. The sustainability is really it's a personal system in life that will maintain and ground us in our viability and comfort, and will allow for us to continually reuse for the healing process. So, for example, you can say, I feel safe, supported, grounded, and loved. And that is sustainability. Keeping constant. Sustainability is that constant path of reminding yourself and telling yourself and saying to yourself, I feel safe, grounded, supported, and loved. Another pathway for healing is awareness of change. Finally being able to step into our power. Not what somebody else wants, not what somebody wants to hear, their words coming out of your mouth, but your own power, your true authentic pathway. Letting go and then open up the space of pain and feeling it with, I forgive, not just once, but again and again, and as many times as I need to feel that peace. I always talk about fail. Failure is a word that people try to avoid. I actually embrace the word fail. I always remind people, no pressure, no diamond. That diamond comes from within. That's why I'm the Intuitive Prospector. That's why I created my spiritual practice, because of my own journey, my own experiences. And fail for me is first attempt in learning. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. Not every lesson and every growth is fun. We are growing pains, as you have all heard. But when we learn to fail often and fail big, first attempt in learning, we are learning that the acceptance of not knowing what we didn't see before, we learned it through this experience. We call this life. And life for me, the acronym is learn it from experience. First attempt in learning, learn it from experience. So we don't know what we don't know, and sometimes the way to know is to learn and to grow and to transform by failure and by living life. And so you can say to yourself in the healing pathway, I accept the gifts of learning, growth, and transformations so that I may continue my journey. I accept the gifts of learning, growth, and transformation so that I may continue. We also have a pathway to healing, which is called the conscious reset. Just as a runaway car cannot apply its own brakes, a lot of times with a lot of you, and some of you know I'm talking directly to you, the active mind, which I call the monkey mind up here, is always active. It's always thinking. It's always feeling. And it requires a silent intention. Attention, when you set your intention, energy follows that. So set an intention to have some silence. Rumi reminds us the more silent and still we become, the more we'll actually hear. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. We need to learn to listen more and speak less. And a conscious reset is literally saying, I'm going to connect through the healing process of life, through failure, through learning, through transformation, and connecting to the source, whatever source is for you. I don't promote, for me, religion is crowd control for me. Religion for me is following the messenger, where spiritualism for me is an open source of information and following the messages, not necessarily a person. I find that religion tells a lot of the same truths depending on where you were raised in the world, but they all have the same truth of love, service, connectivity, the golden rule. All of the stories are very similar. If you can go thousands of years back, from the Bible to the Hindu Book of the Dead to the Egyptian Bible, there's a lot of resonance. The Quran, there's a lot of resemblance in the stories that are told. But it really comes down to the soul. It really comes down to the human condition. And again, a lot of us spiritualists that are on the spiritual pathway really don't follow religion, because religion is for people that fear hell. The spiritual pathway is for those that have walked through it already. And boy, have I gone through some trials and tribulations in my journey. But it doesn't define me. It's not who I am. But it did help me to get to this path to identify the deeper truths of life. So you can say to yourself, I take the time to disconnect so that I may have the time to reconnect to self, to my environment, to the people around me, to your God, whatever that is. And then, of course, another pathway, acceptance for what is. And what this is really is coming to terms to agree upon. I agree with life, I resist nothing, and I have everything that I need. So it's an attitude for gratitude, it's perspective. It's, right now as I'm talking on this show, somebody's getting ready to transition into the spirit world. Somebody is suffering around the world. when we look at people that come into the planet versus people that exit the planet, yes, we have COVID and the pandemic and almost 120,000 people here in the United States and over almost, I think, close to 500,000 globally. But we also forget that there's 50,000 people on average a day that move into the spirit world from other, accidents, from sickness, from, who knows what. But there's about 50,000 people on a daily average that move into the spirit world around the globe. So it really becomes this mindset. I'm here to learn, I'm here to grow, I'm here to transform, but I'm also here to heal and enjoy life and be at peace with what's going on internally with me and try to find peace with what's going on and what I can't control externally. Because remember, guys, your external environment does impact your internal environment directly. We got a lot of things going on. Full solar eclipse, Mercury's gone retrograde. We've got a lot of planetary alignments that we haven't seen since the Rodney King riots, since the start of the American Revolution, since the fall of Rome. All these planetary alignments are all taking place right now, and we're in 2020, which is the year of the four. It's a dedicated worker, but it's also a master builder, tearing down things of old to create things of new. So I hope that helps with you. I'll try to put the link if I can get it. It'll be up on my website at marclainhart.com. If you just go to my featured articles or Armstrong's articles, or get on my Soul Adventures newsletter if you haven't, and I hope that you'll check that out, because I also have in there some additional healing for your own astrology sign from the Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Aquarius, and Pisces. I've also given some tips on additional healing tips that you can use to help with the healing process. But again, today I'm talking about pathways to healing. I hope that makes sense to you. We're going to get ready for the Healing Cafe. I do want to give you a numerology card for the week. And the numerology card is straight up love. We're talking about healing. So without love, you gotta have healing, and without healing, there is no love. They go hand in hand. The 6 energy is all about the self-love, the personal responsible caregiver for your journey. And I'm going to use the rose quartz today, because the rose quartz is all about healing. If you know rose quartz, I don't know if I have any right. I have some up on my shelf up here. But the rose quartz is all about healing. It's all about forgiveness. It's all about the healing process. It's all about acceptance. It's all about what I talked about on pathways to healing: cognitive intuition, self-mastery, true self-forgiveness, sustainability, awareness of change, fail, which is first attempt in learning, conscious reset, and acceptance for what is. All pathways to healing. So I hope that you'll join us for the Healing Cafe, which is coming up next. Make sure to get on my YouTube channel. This goes over to my YouTube channel, and then the Healing Cafe will take place right here, where I'll have a direct conversation with all of you, free readings, spiritual chats, Q&A. So get your questions ready. I look forward to hanging out in the Healing Cafe with you for about an hour today. And then at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time will be the Level Up series with Demetrius and myself. So make sure to register at that link provided in the comment section, so you can get your access to the Zoom waiting room. It's a free event. And we have a lot of fun. It's a lot of inspiration. I'll be talking about these healing modalities as well. So thank you for tuning in to today. Let's see here. I've got, I gave you your crystal. I gave you your numerology number. I'm going to actually give you instead of a totem animal spirit, I like to give you a totem animal spirit, but I'm going to give you an I allow myself. And here it is. This is exactly what's going on. Look at this. It's the cliff. It's the fire. It's the leap of faith, or what we call the leap of faith. Leaping over what is not seen and having trust and faith on what is going to happen. And again, guys, this too shall pass. These are trying times, great transformational times, great awakening times, the age of Aquarius, whatever you want to define. Some people say it's the apocalypse. Just remember the word apocalypse broken down literally means lifting the veil. It doesn't have to be gloom and doom and what the Bible describes it as. But it says, I allow myself to overcome obstacles with ease. I allow myself to overcome obstacles with ease. So I'm going to leave you with that message today here for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. What a great message to have. So hang in there. Take one day at a time. Lots of breathing, lots of meditation, lots of prayer. All very important for the spiritual journey. Appreciate you hanging out with me here in Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. And I'll see you next Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, followed by the Healing Cafe. And make sure to get on my YouTube channel, guys, or my Instagram channel, because I do Spiritual Takeout. I'm going to be doing something fun this week on Spiritual Takeout that I only do over on Instagram and YouTube. So be my 300th subscriber on YouTube. 300, woohoo! I know it's not a lot, but I started with one, so 300 people is always I'm always honored and humbled. But be safe out there. Be kind. Be healthy. Be informed properly. Be kind to one another. the golden rule, and treat people like you like to be treated in life. That's very important. So until our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate, and I'll see you next Monday for Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. And most importantly, dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. Namaste, everybody.